Hi guys, it's Idris here. So today I'm here with another digital deck profile. This time I'll be covering the new card, Levidras Emperio. So this is the Destined King of Infinity. So basically it's the representative of the Destined ones. Uh, and at first, when I first see the card, I didn't see like the impact as usual. But this deck turns out to be actually very good. And if you played it well, it really is not that easy to kill in a way. So uh, I'm going to go through my deck list that I've been playing around for a few weeks, and some tactics that you can consider. It might not be the perfect tactics for you, but then I think I just want to also share some of my thoughts when playing with the decks, and also some experience that I actually fight against this deck. Right. So for the right line, I'm still using the original one because he is also counting himself as the usual destined one of Infinity Levidras. So is still covering your right line to make sure it's fully functioning. The 1 to 2 for a free ride, and then 2 to 3 for a card to pick up, which can help you out a lot. Because with Imperial, you actually need to put in a normal Levidras to gain their divine skill, right? And because without that, this card is a card that considers himself as a normal Levidras without the divine skill, and then just put in markers basically, right? And he also get 5k power per Levidras in your soul, but it's only the original one. And the reason why the new one doesn't count when they're in soul is because the continuous is a Vanguard circle, so when you put it into soul, it doesn't count, it doesn't get the name sharing anymore. So do be careful about that, right? And what's good about using this card in the right deck instead of going for the Levidras first and then going to the king is both of them you get to put 2 markers on the field, right? You need to counterblast or put a card from hand to soul to actually put 2. And if you put a normal if you put a Levidras, doesn't matter if it's the old one or the new one, you get a place free instead of 2, which is already a big plus, because with the old one, if you can't use divine skill, you only put in 2 max, and you need your opponents to be grade free, so you will always be going second in order to just spread free markers on the field to activate all your effects. But now you just ride on the king, put one of the Levidras into the soul with his own skill, then you place 3 markers, right? And then if you are going second, then your divine skill will actually give you 2 more, so that's a total of 5, which is a very big improvement when playing Levidras, right? But what actually helping this deck is, instead of choosing going to second with the divine skill, now you actually can go first and spread 3 markers, do your stuff, go into personal ride, place more, use the divine skill, finish your opponents off. That is possible, right? Which is very, very, very important, because if you always go for second, which is giving your opponent a turn to, like, ahead of you to do their full combo, because nowadays a lot of grade 3s can just do their full combos on their first grade 3 ride. So you need to survive that while you're on grade 2. You go on to grade 3 with limited resources and try to fight back, and then they trying to do their kill turn. But if you're going first, well, you can place pre-markers, you can do your full combo before they get to grade 3, and then you use the divine skill to finish it off. So basically turning the things around. So that's why people are actually using this. At first I'm kind of questioning before actually testing it out, because I'm like, okay, what if I don't draw it every draw? But the actual fact is, if you don't draw it, you just play it normally, right? So it doesn't matter. And then going to the main deck, first we need our personal rides. And even if we don't personalize, it's still a good card to put into the soul to generate free markers, right? So you definitely need to max out right there. And then normal Levidras, you do need that as well, because you do want to personalize while you also give free markers out. So, and more importantly, you need to put the O1 inside to get divine skill, so make sure you put that in. Alright, and then next we have our Charmet. So this is a really good card to the deck by a lot of reasons. Now let's talk about the skill. If there are 3 or more Infinity Eye markers and you don't have a reader with the same name on the board, you can Soul Blast 1 and call this card to the Regal Circle. So Reborn, which is important because you like turning this card into a repeatable beater, and it's a 13k, so it's good. And you can just discard early game to make sure you have this card ready to call back up and do some strikes. And when this unit attacks, if you have Infinity Eye markers in the same corner as this unit, you can retire another Regard. Then this card will get plus 10k until the end of battle, and at the end of the battle, retire this unit, you get a draw card. So it not only help you clear your board to dodge things like Shiranui or like anything that will target your board, because you just pop them for a higher power, and then this card will pop itself for another draw, and the next turn you bring it back, do the same thing, so that you can keep recycling as long as you have the soul. And because you will be putting a card into the soul to generate markers, you always have the resources to do it, which is great because we always want to put something at the back to do some good attacks. Well, she can be also one that you can consider, but now you can just willingly put this card to the front to fight as well, while utilizing all your other resources. And then next, I'm running 4 of the Dual Nations for checking the top deck because it's important, and this card can bring you back a normal order or a Grade 2 or higher, which in this deck we run a lot of Grade 2 or higher. For example, we have our key card on for an Augusti. So this is another card that helps you check top deck, so you trigger a lot easier. So you have 8 cards to help you do that, and this card can attack from the back. And then we have our other Reborn, Huli, to not only reborn stuff, but if you have 3 or more markers, then to get plus 10k. So it's another good beater while reborning new stuff, which can be this, can be this. Even though if you reborn this, you can't use any of her skill, but at least you get a beater that can then apply skill with our greatest Fox Seal to attack from the back row. So even just reborning this still means something, and you need to have a good board presence. So you always need to have a lot of cards on the board so that you can do a lot of attacks, because only this can just making itself to attack from the back row, and you need Fox Seal to turn something that can attack from the back row, which can be anything other than the Fox Seal itself. And then we have a new card, Squirrel. Now this is a card that is good while it's bad. The reason why it's good is that it can be a very good booster, and then it will turn itself to another empty circle with Infinite Eyes marker. And if you use Fox Seal to already apply power, so it will be a strong boost. Move to a marker, it boosts itself even more than attack from the back row. So it's good, but then it's also limiting how you set up your board, right? Because usually what you need to do is, for example, you have this, and you have your straw mat, and then you have this at the back row. So, and then of course you have this, right, and something in the front row. So what you have to do is kind of use this to attack first, right, and then use your Vanguard with boost to attack first. Give power to here, and then you boost, pop this to gain the power, and then pop herself, turn into a draw, and then move it to here, which assuming there's a marker with a lot of power boost, and then attack, and then attack, right? So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks, right? Which normally if you have a full board, you will still be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks. So basically your number of attacks didn't change, but then you kind of making the attacking power higher, but then it takes a lot of steps. But this card, why it's good is because when you actually don't have like a full board, you can still kind of utilize this card to give you some benefits, right? Because you can still boost it while use it again, so it's kind of attacking 2 times, kind of, not exactly, but kind of. So it's good, but it's not exactly like very good. So I'm only putting 1 in there in case I need it, because more important is the force shield to basically generate the multiple attacks that you need. And then we have our clearance. So this is your counter charge and soul charge. But why we're using 1? Because we want to basically utilize all these, so we don't have too much space for this, and 1 is okay if you manage your resources well. So far only these ones using counter blast and your divine skill, and this is a lot, but you do draw a lot as well, so I think you have a lot of chance to actually recycle and actually see this card early, so it's good to be at 1. And then for PGs, I'm using the booster normal unit PG, and then the new Blitz Order PG, just because we are seeing more and more decks that actually using cards in the crash zone, so it's kind of helping out sometimes. If not, you just play it normally. So, and then we have our twin cast for defensive. We actually need it, even though we do draw a lot of cards by giving out a lot of markers. We reborn a lot of stuff so that we can kind of keep our hand, but at the same time we do need more defensive. So this is a card that even when your donation see it, put it in a drop, you can still reuse it, so it doesn't hurt as much. And then the Infinity Knowledge, in case you need that extra reborn, because it pumps units a little bit more, so just in case we're in a very bad shape, you can still bring something stronger out to help protect us. Okay, so we are back at this. So now going through the triggers. First, OT. I'm using the Dark OT for if you're playing more like a grind game. I think this will be a better card for you, because it just gives you something that you need, which is heal, an extra unit because you will pop your stuff. So it's still very good to use in a lot of different situations. If you want to use this Oiki OT, you can. Fire OT, I don't think it helps you that much. Water OT won't help you to grind, but they can still be a good choice if you want to, but I personally prefer the Dark OT a lot more. And then for crits, just use whatever you want. If you want to use more soul and crit, you can, but I just put in 7 crits that I prefer, because I will just use them as a shield, so it doesn't matter if they're soul crit or not. If you have a full set of soul crit, feel free to put them in. Won't hurt you to do that. And then front, because we pump a lot of power to the back row already, making sure our front row also strong enough is also important because we boost less and less and less. So that's why it's here, and also for the 20k defense. And then just 4 normal heals will do. In the past, I would tell people to just slot in the effect heals, but for now it doesn't seem like we actually need that, so it's up to you. Okay, now some strategies that with this deck, for example, how to arrange your attacks. I already showed you a few ones. Now it's more on the marker tactics, I would say. There's a few ways that you can play around with the markers. One, if you're going second, you are going to use the define skill. You're going to put your normal Levidras into your soul to generate 3 markers, a total of 5. What you can do, you can just basically give it all to your opponents. You can. This is one strategy. And why this strategy works, it's just like if you place it wisely, if you know, for example, a specific spot they will attack you for multiple times, you can place it there. Because if they already have units that is going to pop themselves and change into something else, or they will be restanding so that they can attack you more times, then you can reuse it, right? And by doing so, you are playing a very defensive game for at least a round, a turn, because you will be basically utilizing as much as the markers on your opponent's field, which you give 5 of them out, to draw a lot of cards and surviving, right? Which is a good thing, because you will still have some basic attack stuff, not a lot, but you do check your deck from time to time, and even small poke matters. So by doing that, you are trying to like close the door, just stay focused, defending yourself. When you see the right time, strike out. Right? The other way, you give your opponents a little bit while giving you a lot. By doing that, you are trying to pump a lot of power on your end to press your opponents to give out as much as resources in their hand as much as possible, so that they don't have any shield to survive for more than like 2 to 3 turns. That's another way. And there's no correct answer into what you want to do, because both ways works. If you go for a full opponent marker style for at least a turn, you do need to take a risk that your attack power is less, and your opponents, maybe their power is high enough that they doesn't care. Sometimes it happens. And that is also relating back to the reason why I'm saying you can actually take first now, because if you are facing decks like Black Mar, which even though we don't see that often, but doesn't mean people don't take it to tournaments or just play. For Black Mar, they are getting into the divine skill range on the second graveyard turn. They are doing it. So if you are going second, you basically give them a free charge turn. But if you're going first, you are striking them before they go into the first charge, and they need to survive another turn in order to go into the second charge, while still having enough resources to make it threatening. So the king is actually turning things around by a lot, because your units are actually stronger right now. You have a lot more markers. You are not that easy to run out of gas. So this increase the survival rates per turn of this deck, and I would say this is also why this is a strong point of this deck. It survives, and as long as you survive, you can still somehow fight it back, because you can still spare a lot of markers. Even a trigger can gain 10k to hit something. Even markers on opponent's field can just turn into a minus 10k at a draw. So which is helpful. But you do need to play this deck like a lot in order to know all the sequence that you need to go into for specific cards, so you don't waste your attacks, you don't waste your power, you don't waste your markers. So it is a deck that grinds and requires practice, but it will give you some reward when you have enough practice. At least that's how I feel. So like when Levidras first release, I was like kind of feeling it fun at very first, and then going to feeling the deck a little bit hard to play because I always run out of the markers, and then turn into this where I still can keep my original kind of play style, changing some cards, but my markers didn't run out that easily. Of course, there are chances that I don't even get to see Levidras for a few turns, which I couldn't spread 3 markers, I couldn't use Divine Skill, but you can still kind of survive with what you have, and with the playstyle changing to a lot more looking into the deck, grinds, doing it bit by bit. And again, what good about this deck is it grinds, so that means you can, when facing against Vanguard, you can give them damage bit by bit. You don't always need to go all in with your Divine Skill, give them all the damage so they can strike you back, but you can give them one by one, and your markers will just like kill their power and turn into a draw so that you can survive. And as long as you do it bit by bit, they will run out of gas eventually. So it's a very good deck against Vanguard. I think it's also okay against Versailles because their power is basically kind of fixed, so it's not that hard to do the calculation. But again, you need to play very well. Against Night Rose, usually you are fine because the shield value usually can help you to survive a few turns if you do it right. What else? I think for Leah or Dim, she could be a threat to you because she drive checks a lot and suddenly just shut you down for a turn to do a total of 6 swings to basically drain all your resources. But I do think you can still kind of survive. So that's why we see a lot of people actually picking this deck to team tournaments as one of the picks, because the survival, the power, the control, the game speed, that management they can do with this deck is very, very great. So I do suggest you give it a try. The first few try might be a little bit tough because you do need to learn how things works, but once you get your hands into it, I think it will be a very good pick for you if you want to go in for a tournament. But do also be careful of the time, because when you are playing with a grind deck, that means you might actually run out of time. So do be careful about that, and I think you will be good with this deck. Yeah, so I think that's it for this deck profile. If you have any questions, as usual, comments down below. Let me see them so I can answer them. Subscribe for more deck profiles and more coming. We have a Coro set coming as well very, very soon, so stay tuned for that unboxing as well, because I do unboxing videos as well. Deck fights, we do have another WGP Deluxe coming very, very soon, so stay tuned for that as well. Yeah, I think that's it for it today. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.